All right.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Matt, and I am here today. It is an amazing week. We are 1 week closer to CIT chief and chaperone leadership applications being needing to be in Matt's hands, and 1 week closer to the student application going live. And we have the amazing Sid with us. Sid, what's up?
Hi.
And so Sid and I were talking. Sid's got like 4 weeks left of school, and like the whole time, I'm like, okay, that probably feels a little concerning. For some, it's it's all about how you receive that information. But how do you feel about the 4 weeks you have left in high school as you enter the next stage of life potentially?
I plan to make the most of it because I feel that I'm not ready to graduate just yet, but I am also very excited for the new chapter of my life that I'm going to be starting once I graduate.
Awesome. What are you looking to do once you graduate? Like what are your next plans for Sid?
I am going to be going to Pitt State up in Kansas for
What?
graphics design.
The gorillas, right? Aren't they the
Yeah,
gorillas?
the gorillas.
You know what's interesting? Fun Pitt State story, real fast. So Kylie and a guy named Brett Collier came to camp. Feels like ages ago because it was, also known as Gator. Um, and so we
Gator.
they go back. They went back as CITs and chiefs as a chief, and actually started a Rotaract club at Pitt State.
Really?
And I had the opportunity to present there. Like I don't know exactly what I would call it, but I went up there and hung out, talked a little bit. Um, so I've been to Pitt State one time, but it was Rotary related. So I look forward to you continuing on the awesomeness of Rotary and RYLA at Pitt State. So
Yeah.
go Gorillas, right?
Yeah.
And so we talked before you got on here, like, so I know you as having a Veneta address, Veneta, Oklahoma, and you're actually from Afton, Oklahoma, which is part of the I'm gonna call it the Michael Addington tribe.
Yes.
Where so when I asked how did you get to camp, it's probably got something to do with Michael Addington. So how did you find out about RYLA?
I found out about RYLA through my art teacher, Dennis Mishmash. He is our Interact sponsor, and he kind of presented RYLA. I don't remember exactly how, but it was me and like three other people who were like looking into it. But three of us only ended up going. But it was like, oh, it's a nice little camp. I haven't been to a camp in a long time. It's something to get out there. It's during spring break. I don't do nothing during spring break, so let's do it.
So
So
you
we went
were
to
you were a camper here in the spring of 23 and then came back as a CIT in 24. And Dennis was a chaperone in 23 and came back as a chaperone in 24 here in I guess both in 24 and 24, but um
No, they were both in 20,
both in
23.
23. Yeah, I'm just like I've been date crazy all day. So yeah, so you both in 23. So Dennis came back and chaperone too. So like his first camp was your first camp.
Yes.
Tell me like I mean I've asked everybody this question because I'm always intrigued. Like what's your RYLA experience as a camper? Like from the time you like get there, what's going through your mind when you get there?
Well, it was when we got there, I didn't know what to expect because it was just some random camp is what I thought. And then there's the tunnel and like everybody's like running through it and it's like, okay, we're running. We're running. What are we doing? And we got in, we got our names, and then we got our food. And I'm like, I don't know where to sit. Like the two people I came with, I don't know them that well. The only person I really know is my teacher, and that's a little weird. And so I'm like looking, and then I ran into this lady who was in the red tribe, and she's like, "Oh, what tribe are you in? Purple? Come here, I'll take you to a purple." And she sat me down with this other purple. It was just you just got sat down. I was like, "Okay, we're here," and I'm like, "Hi, hello." And then there was Michael Jackson. Then I was vibing.
So you're what how would you describe yourself as a 17-year-old teenager pre-camp or extrovert, introvert, forget the elements. Like did that was that normal for you? Was that awkward for you? Like there's noise, there's a lot of people. I mean, Afton's not a big town.
Oh no, absolutely.
So like
My
was it
class
were
was
you cool
40.
with it? Was this going to be something that was going to be like, okay, I'm second guessing why I got in the car with these people?
Yeah, I would say I'm introverted when I don't really know people or if I don't like click well with them. I'm kind of like reserved and I stick with my little friend group or just the people that I hang out with. So being put into this situation where I had none of my friends with me and I knew nobody and we got split up from the people that we did know, it was like I didn't know how to react. I was like, it's like, should I say to myself, should I put myself out there? Because I don't know these people. They don't know me. Maybe I can like put out a new version of myself. I was like contemplating that all in my head as I was going through with it.
So what did Sid end up doing?
I feel like I might have put myself out there.
Okay.
Um, I made some new friends, like Wendy, who was previously on the RYLA routine, and
Yep.
she's my friend today. And I would have said that I tried to be in the activities, but I was still nervous to put myself out there, and I was really awkward about it. Like the name game where you put the adjective in front of your name that also has the same initial. I was like, I don't know, you want me to do a movement with this? Okay. And so I just went with it.
That's awesome. So you mentioned Wendy and that made something click. So you were in Sawyer's adopted tribe, right? Sawyer got I feel like Sawyer got adopted by the Purple Tribe
Yeah,
back.
that was during my CIT, but during my camper year, I don't think she got adopted
No,
into that.
I think it was Flame. You're right. It was purple. It was purple this year. You're right.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, so you come to camp. We're trying to figure this thing out. Um, what's your what as a camper, what was your maybe most challenging aspect of camp when it came to like was there something where you paused and went like, oh, that's I've never thought about something like that. Or maybe it's a push and pull, or like, you know what, I wasn't really like down with participating in that at first. And what was the most challenging aspect of camp you think as a camper for you?
Um, it was either paracord or agree disagree for me because I don't really put myself out there when I'm like at school or something. Like I'm just kind of myself, and if people notice me, they notice me on their own.
Okay.
So I feel like, because my camper year, I actually spoke up during agree and disagree. Like I was given the mic, and I feel like I yapped like way too much during that. But it was like different to just put myself out there with that. And then with paracord, it was difficult being blindfolded, and then everybody's talking over each other, and so you can't hear who they're talking to, what they're talking about. You're like, going under? Going over who? What? I can't see. And then I got on blindfolded towards the middle, I wanna say, and I'm trying to, like, help people, and I'm like, "No, you go down, like, my hand's on your shoulder, go down." It was a whole situation, and I feel like those were my most challenging bits.
Gotcha. What when you look back to your camper year, what's your favorite memory of camp?
Um I want to say like tribe time where we all just kind of got to sit about, though after the paracord activity and after the whole dance that we had after that, I was really overstimulated during that one tribe time. And this is just a funny story and I laugh about it now because in that moment I started crying, but it was a funny moment if we look back. Like we still make jokes about it today. Um Brett was one of my chaperones my camper year, and he always had snacks ready at tribe time, and he'd, like, toss them out or pass the bag, and today he decided to toss it. And so I'm sitting there looking at the floor, and and he tossed it to somebody, but he missed, and it hit me square in the forehead. And I just started crying, it was like the floodgates, and he's apologizing, and I'm like, "No, Brett, you're okay." And I had to get up and go, and I was in the bathroom for a minute, and Dylan, my chief, she came and followed me, and she's like, "You handled that well. You okay? Do you need a hug?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm good." And he came back, and he's like, "Sid, I wanna apologize in front of everybody," and it's like, "No, Brett, you're good." But, other than that, I loved tribe time. I loved seeing, like, my friends that I had made within the 4, like, days. I was like, that's like, it was just awesome to just connect with people so quickly.
So tell me, I just left a meeting earlier today, and for those that don't know, I don't always record the RYLA routine on a Sunday. I just release it on a Sunday. I left a meeting today, and I was talking a lot about belonging and relationships and like tribes, community. Like, what do you think? What do you think is the secret sauce? Because, like, I mean, I haven't really dove into like tribe time with anybody, but like, what you get to camp, you come with three people from Afton, and all three completely different people. We talk about our thumbprints, right? Like our thumbprints are different. How do we get to a point where you get dropped off on Thursday and on Sunday you're willing to say Wendy's a great friend of mine and Wendy lives in Arkansas?
Right?
Like how do we get there? Like what's the secret sauce? Because you're not the only one that thinks that. You're the first person that's really said that in that way. Oh,
Hmm.
I I could bottle it and sell it, but how do we do it? Why do you think it happens?
Say maybe like the energy that RYLA gives off whenever you first come in. Like you see people dancing on the chairs, dancing on the tables, they're like up singing, they're doing the hokey pokey in the back of the cafeteria. And it's just like it's so different from our normal lives that whenever you go back to tribe time, I think you still have that energy like buzzing in you. So you're just like, oh my gosh, like what did you think about the dancing? Or what did you think about this activity? Like you're just like you guys just kind of bond over what you guys do. And sometimes like I've seen people do the like four-person like chair thing where you're like all supporting each other and like there's no chairs underneath you and so you're just like leaned back on one person. And I feel like, getting kids to like put themselves into like those situations. See, whereas whenever I was a camper, we had a thing where we had like the little like hand bridge where you like had to move somebody
Yep.
across the hands. And we did that with me because and I was just like, I'll do it. And so Dylan dropped me onto these kids and they moved me across and it was like, yeah, yeah. And like it was just the excitement and the energy that we got to put into just this fun moment with like people that we don't know who are from Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. They're from big cities, small towns. Like it was just the energy, I feel like, and the investment that we get to put into those fun activities.
What do you, I mean, when you think about Afton, or you think about me being from a kid from Okmulgee, it's a small town too, and then you look at kids from like youth exchange that are from like, I mean, different countries.
Yeah,
Um,
that
you're taking people from multiple different places with their thumbprints that their each individual thumbprint is so rich, and you're putting them all in a building together, in a room together. You know,
you're right.
how do you we talked about I forget who it was talked earlier in the RYLA routine about being it's being comfortable being uncomfortable being comfortable being uncomfortable, like getting to a point where like it's all going to be uncomfortable and I either accept it and I thrive in it or I push against it, and the longer I push against it, when it finally happens for some kids it's like oh my gosh that was amazing. um
It's so cool.
what point of RYLA do you believe became like this is a place that matters for you as a camper? Like where do you go, all right, this is a good experience, this feels good, I want to figure out how I can be a part of this? At what point of your camper year do you feel like that clicked? Was it when you went home? Was it at camp on a certain day, a certain activity?
Oh, I want to say that maybe it was like it could have been the first day whenever we did Rylomania, and we're all like decorating our shirts, we were decorating our flag, and we were all coming up with like fun ideas of like what we could do. And then when we went and we did it, we had all these fun times, and then we got to sit down and have like these like deep talks where you would like not really lecture us, but you would like teach us what you know. And it's like you could like literally feel the investment that the chiefs, the leadership, I didn't have CITs that year, but the CITs, like everybody was putting into these campers, and this was all volunteer work, which is something that I feel like clicked with me later on. Is like these people didn't have to come do this, but they did this, and they decided to put their time, their energy, all into these kids because they believe that it matters. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to be a part of the team that makes this matter, that puts the investment into these kids. I want to give somebody a good experience like I did.
So you talk about volunteers and you talk about making that investment. The answer is yes and yes. The answer is you absolutely did that as a CIT. So you come back as a CIT, right? Um,
Yes.
talk about your CIT experience. Talk about, I mean, being at camp and being in camp versus supporting, managing, and leading camp are two different things. Tell me more about, your CIT year and kind of that experience. Is that what that meant, some things you saw, key moments, etc.
Okay. Well, there's so much. Whenever I like first started like trying to like take lead of the group, like Dylan was like, "I'm giving you and Isaiah full reins. Like I'll be here to like help guide you guys, but this is your training. I'm gonna help you guys where I can, but it's youth leading youth. We're going to let you guys try to take the reins. But it's okay if this and this happens. But as we're leading, I was like, okay, I want to be a friend to these people, but I also want to be a leader to them and show them that they can also be leaders. I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And it was like a whole whirlwind. And I feel like maybe I got the grasp of it, but I was so worried after the first like 2 nights. I was like, am I doing a good job? I don't know if I'm good, like doing a good enough job. Am I cheering them on enough? Is it this? Like I had so much anxiety about not being a good CIT, but like I feel like a key moment for me was after we got our affirmation cards because there was this girl in my tribe and she was super sweet. I loved her. She was like how people kind of like they're in their tribes, but then they also have their small little groups within the tribe.
Yeah.
Like I would say that they kind of made me a part of their little group, but on her affirmation card, she said, "Can I just come home with you? You're like so awesome, you're so sweet, you're so supportive." And like all the other ones, like that was my favorite part is getting the affirmation cards. And it was like, okay, I did my goal. I did
Yeah.
this. And it was just I got to lead like I wanted to. I got to be a part of the team that made everything happen. Well, not
Well, I think so
everything.
so many times I think we look for like, especially that's the CIT group's a group that I'm typically like, it's okay. It's okay. I feel like I say it's okay all day long. It's okay. Because you've experienced the magic, and now when it's your job to make the magic, making the magic is a whole lot easier than the other, or harder. It's harder making the magic because you think
Right,
like, oh, I've got to do this like big special thing, right?
right,
Versus trust the process. Just trust the process. The process will happen. For some kids, I know I say it every year. For some kids won't get it until they get home.
right.
They'll hear some, and some will never get it, and
And that
that's
happens.
education in general. You go to class all day with people, and you hear the same information they hear, and so do 20 other kids, and at the end of the day, somebody doesn't get it. But like I said, keep taking a step, keep taking a step, keep moving forward, and trusting the process is so important. So I think it's interesting to hear you say that because I think it's couldn't be more true. Honestly, it's just literally me saying it's okay to like
Right,
CIT after CIT. Like, how do I get that question? Like, how do I get a camper to dot dot dot? Guess what? You're not the first person that's asked that question, and you're not going to be the last.
right.
It's part of your development, right? So as a leader, whether that be as in a job or that be in a household or that be in a family, some experiences somebody else has already had. Some experiences are brand new for all of us, and I think being willing to say, um, you're trusted, and I trusted you. I trusted all leaders there. That means something. But when you finally get to put quote unquote put your shoes on and go do the work. During the work, sometimes you go, "Am I doing the right thing?" Um, but I can tell you that the affirmation cards are a huge part of that. I mean, I know we've talked about the affirmation cards on here a few times, and like I think for a lot of people, um, like my I just finished a book for the second time in my life. Not two books. I've read more than two books, but the same book twice. So there's a book called The Five Love Languages, and I read it right when Tommy Jane and I got married. And then
Hmm.
I listened to it on audiobook this week. And there's like five love languages. My love language is affirmations. Like I grew up in a household where my parents told me they were proud of me, and that meant a lot. Like for people to tell me good job meant a lot. And like the last thing I want to do is let anybody down. But if I go days without somebody telling me good job, I'm not always like look like a dog, like following people around, like, please pat me on the back, please pat me on the head and tell me I did good. But it does mean something more to me when people acknowledge me going an extra step or things of that nature. It's also the acknowledgement of acts of service. Like when people see that, they say, Matt, I appreciate you doing, because I truly want to serve people. Um, and so when you talk about the affirmation cards for me are like dynamite. I mean, I got those things hidden everywhere. I got them in my backpack. I literally got my backpack under my laptop right now, but I got backpack. I got them hidden in every one of my truck at the house that I work out of for like firewood. I got some in the console of my car. The kids got some in their bedrooms. Like, I mean, who doesn't want to be told that they're great?
Right.
And I think that does matter. And you are great. So tell me about a great moment at camp where you're like, that was really cool to see something happen. Like you talked about the paracord as a camper. Like, what was the paracord like as a CIT?
See, Dylan had let us choose who we wanted to unblindfold first. And me and Isaiah sat down during one of the like free moments. We were watching some of the kids play basketball, and we were just sitting there and we were like, okay, who's our fire? And it was like we didn't have anyone. I maybe like met one who like openly said, "Oh yeah, I'm a fire," and then there was a couple more who were like, "Yeah, I'm like a water wind." And I was like, "You might be a fire though. You take it on head on just like that. Like, you give off fire vibes to me." And so we're like, okay, we agree that these ones are like the fires, and we agree that these are the waters, the earths, the winds. And we're like, okay, yeah. And we're taking into consideration like what they were saying they were, and we're like, okay, you will be unblindfolded first, and you will be unblindfolded last. So whenever we got into it, I was super excited whenever I went up and got the cords because I knew it was gonna happen. And I was like, I'm so excited for them to do this because even though I stressed out about it, I knew how fun it was for everybody else involved. And then they tangled the knot, they moved on to the next knot, and they got blindfolded. And they're like, "What's happening? What's happening?" And we're like, "You're gonna get blindfolded, just wait." And just one by one, we're just watching them like, "Oh, what are we doing?" Knot. We're untying the knot. And I have pictures with one of my other campers who was a camper with me when I was a camper, but she was a camper when I was a CIT. Her name's Joanna, and she's just smiling away. She's like, "Yeah, I'm so happy. We're doing paracord." And meanwhile, she can't see. And they got it undone. And our who I thought was like our main fire, she's like, "Why was I not unblindfolded?" It was just so fun to just watch them like, "Yeah, we did. You're free. Now you're free, and you're free. We're all free." And like we had the chords, and we were all done. They're like, "Now we get to party." It was
What
just
did you,
fun to just stand back and watch.
what do you, what was your favorite part of camp as a CIT?
Ooh, oh, there's so much because I remember like we would just be sitting in the gym and we'd be like watching the videos or listening to you and Ron, and we'd be talking about this, and I'm writing things down. I'm like, yes, yes, here we go. Talking about our purposes. But I think like maybe like the most fun activity that I enjoyed was high ropes because I didn't get to do that as a camper because they were like
Right.
under renovation, I think.
Yep.
And also, which is just, a common thing, is the dancing in the cafeteria. I love doing that. I love doing the dances. And whenever they would play those songs at my prom, I was like, I know these. Here we go.
You were prepared.
I was
We
ready.
we prepared you for prom. That's awesome.
I'm so happy.
So you're going to school, and I want to talk about your talent shield real fast. Tell me, you're going to school. You said going to Pitt State for graphic design. Is that right?
Yes.
Why graphic design?
I it was either that or art, but I was like always been interested in making, maybe like logos or something, or just art in general, like somebody wants this done. And I've just always been an artist, and I was like, I want to make a career out of this if I can. And I feel like going into graphics design, it depending on how, like, say, the commissioner, whoever, pays me to do it, however they
Yeah.
want it, it'll go out into the world and it could inspire people. It could put it on logos for dog treats and but like I also just really just want to do art for
Yeah.
like for my life if I can.
So, and when you say, tell me more about art, like I just want to know more. Tell me more about art. Are we talking like drawing? Are we talking like, what are we talking
Mostly drawing. I am currently in an AP art class my senior year, and it's been a whirlwind. And I have been working on a thing called sustained investigation, and I'm making these like kind of bigger pieces, like 18 by 24-inch drawing paper, and I like I like doing realism, but then I also like putting in the emotional aspects. I like whenever people look at it and it makes them feel something.
about? Yeah.
And the more you look at it, the more complicated it is, and just like I understand this. Like this speaks to me. Or even if it doesn't speak to them, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty. I'll take it."
Yeah.
I just
I ask you about your talent shield and I ask you about that because I just think that we're talking thumbprints, right? And like, I genuinely value seeing people do things that I can't do. Like going to a baseball game is great, but I've done it. But go watch somebody play music or go look at somebody that can see something and draw that. That to me is just mind blowing because I don't have that skill. That's not me. So when I think about when I run into people that have skills and abilities that aren't like mine, obviously I'm like, hey, if there's ever a point where I need that of value to like add it to my team at the Y or add that to our team at RYLA, I'm like, that's a person that I could, that's a skill that we could use on our team because it's a team. I mean, it's the belonging piece, everything else. It's the relationships. You know, if we're all one thumbprint, it doesn't work. It's the uniqueness of us. You talk about the tribe time, and that's one thing I hear about tribe time all the time. It's like I got to be me. I got to talk about me. I got to talk about the real me. I got to, not that people walk around with a persona, but like I got to leave my cool card
yeah.
back in Afton. Like I just got to be me. I didn't like what's the risk? Like these people may see me for 4 days and never see them the rest of my life. And what along the way, what you find out is you see these people, and whenever you talk about these people, you get a spot in your heart where you're like, this is awesome. And you want to see
Right.
these people more. Um, when you kind of think about RYLA in summary, when you describe your time at camp, CIT and chief and or chief, how do you what's RYLA mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. Rylan means a lot. I can't exactly put it into like one summary because like it's like everywhere I look sometimes, or like if I'm like, you know, say I'm just walking down the street and I'm like, remember the time at Ryla? And then you get a smile on your face. It's just
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a great like thing. It's a great place. It's a great environment, and that there's just not one simple way to say what Ryla means to me, because Ryla means a lot. It means investment, it means happiness, it means belonging and service above self, and like it means like building up that goodness. There's like just so many ways that you could describe what Ryla means. And honestly, I wouldn't say that there's a wrong answer for,
Right.
what does Ryla mean? Or what does
Well,
it mean?
the cool thing is it means it's your definition, it's your mission statement, it's your thumbprint. And so based upon where you may see the investment or feel the investment, your perception, we're going to have 180 different thumbprints, 180 different perceptions of what camp is.
Right.
But what I think is most important is it's yours. You know, it's your impression and and you get to leave your thumbprint. And I say that as I asked all you guys to send me a few photos before I do the RYLA routine, and I start using those photos throughout the week, really, because I've got my favorite pictures from camp, and so like
Right.
Instagram and Facebook, like I'm constantly, I just use the pictures I
Every
get for
day.
the week, and like to get to see like these are my favorite 5 photos, like, and to look at it and go like, okay, there's Sid on high ropes. Like that's awesome because you're right. You didn't get to do it as a camper. Um, or there's, Sid with all the CITs and chiefs. Like that's great. Or there's Sid with the other three campers that probably that circle that Sid's talking about. Um,
Yeah.
those things matter because it's RYLA through your eyes.
Hmm.
And as I've talked about, 2,143 people coming through the program, they all have their own perception of camp. They all have their own vision, their own story, because they all have their own thumbprint. And
Yeah.
I will say without a shadow of a doubt, I'm really happy that your thumbprint has been able to be put on camp. I mean, I do. I mean, from you being a camper to you being a CIT, and the future, I know the investor you are. Um, it's exciting to know that the passion you have to see your work make impact on people, specifically, not even leadership wise, but as a person that has your talent shield and you want graphic design to be your thing and put your seal of approval and people say, I want to put people's brands out there. I want to put people's images out there. I want to support people with telling their story. That's what you're really going to get to do is tell a story behind a brand or behind images and things of that nature. And that's so freaking cool to be able to do that. That's to have that skill and have that desire. Um, so we got like a couple minutes left. As we wrap this up, what uh what does Sid want to tell people? If you had a you got a moment, it's your mic. Like, what are you going to tell people when it comes to about leadership? It comes about being happy, goodness, all the goodness in the world, RYLA, whatever it may be. Take us home.
It can be hard whenever you're like, oh, I want to put myself out there, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to put myself out there without being judged or being seen as weird or that what I'm doing might be crazy. I would just say go for it, because you're only going to live once. Why not do something you want to do that could make others happy, or you're putting yourself out there in a positive way, like you're going to give to your neighbors, you're going to give to an animal shelter, you're going to give to anything within your community. And I just say go for it, because it just works out, I guess.
Maybe that's a RYLA 2024 T-shirt. Just says "Go for it."
Just go for it. Just do it.
Yeah, Nike already did that.
Oh
Just
yeah.
gonna say "Go for it."
Just
Go
go
for
for it.
what? And it's gonna be one of those quad T-shirts. Like, go for what? Like, well, what do you want to do? What are
Right.
you holding back on? What have you not done that if you were so much more bolder, you'd go do it? That's what I'm talking about.
What is your go for it?
Exactly. Sid gave me a great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea, Sid. We're go for it.
Go
Remind
for it.
Matt. Go for it. Go for it. T-shirts. Go for it.
Okay.
Not gopher.
Go for
Not
it.
an animal. Um, so as we wrap this up, hey, I really do want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for being awesome. Thanks for being who you are. Um, so we have made it successfully through 26 episodes of the RYLA Routine. Guess what? That's a half a year. That is a half a year of Sundays that I have figured out how to put together. So I am very happy. Sid asked me a question last week and said, "Hey, how do I get to be on the RYLA Routine?" You know what? All you got to do is ask because everybody's awesome and I got a place for everybody. I got a list too, but Sid said, "How do I do it?" I said, "You're on. You're on. Let's go." So if you want to be on the RYLA Routine, hit me up. I'm your guy. I am looking forward to opportunities to continue the conversation. Again, half a year, 26 weeks of people talking about how awesome they are and how awesome you can be, and you are too. But we are very blessed to have Sid and have our other friends that have been supporting this. Sid, have a phenomenal week ahead. And you guys, again, CIT and chief applications are due Monday, or actually, yeah, Monday, the 30th, not Monday. I don't know what day it is. They're due on May 1st. May 1st is also when the camper application goes live, but May 1st is your day. May 1st, May 1st, May 1st. And so we look forward to spreading our awesomeness and getting some more folks to camp and expanding on the 2,143 awesome people like Sid. And we hope you have an awesome day, Sid. Stay awesome as well, and have a great day.